All right. What's going on, Mr. Cox?
What's going on there, sir? How you doing? Looking real dapper there today. Look
I
at you.
appreciate that, man. I
Yeah.
had to work a little late today, so I figured, I just keep the same stuff on and do our podcast. It just shows our range. Tony and I are always talking about, Black folks, man, and the stuff that we have to do to fit in the country, man. I think it just shows our range, and I said I'm not going to change. So, we got a good one coming tonight. We're going to talk about what we like to call the distraction, which is basically, us going out and doing something in the rest of the world when we think there's something that's going to come out and damage the administration, or something's going to be released by Congress. So we got to do something that's unnecessary and doesn't really accomplish anything. So we're going to talk about the attack on Venezuela and the kidnapping of a world leader, by the United States.
Right.
We think that's important, and we want to talk about that.
Good.
Really quick, some fact sheet points. What critics are saying. Some political strategists, including, James Carville, publicly argued that Venezuela operation was timed to overshadow the release of the Epstein files. Multiple outlets report critics calling it a diversion or a deflection. What gets lost in the noise, the economy, healthcare, Epstein files, just a bunch of stuff. And we're going to go through a few things tonight and give our opinions on why we think this happened and why it's still ongoing. Tony?
Yeah, before I get started, let's go Gents Making Sense on YouTube channel. That's how you can find us. We try to get some real good content out there. We have the full episode, and then we have a multitude of shorts and just short videos to support it. So give us a look. See, we're really coming up in numbers now, and we like that. We just putting out our opinions out there, and we want to see what y'all think and everything. So we like the feedback. We're getting a lot of feedback now, so we like that. We also at Gents MS, Spoutable. You can find us there also. We don't mess around with X no more because of the great Elon Musk. We don't want to give him no support. And while we're at it, I want to go ahead and get this out the way because, as you know, the NCAA playoffs are tonight, and we want to try to get this thing out the way pretty much. But it's important that we do it. Let's support our Black businesses, such as Actively Black, active sportswear brand that competes with Adidas and Nike. Power in Black, they do a multitude of clothing, they specialize in hoodies and all that kind of stuff. So Power in Black, Actively Black, and of course Supplement. Water bottles and everything. They have some excellent water bottles. I have one and I'm totally happy with it. I've had it now for about 4 or 5 months now, and I wouldn't use anything else at this time. Okay, so let's get right to it then. So we are trying this thing that the news cycle. Let me back up and say this. Donald Trump is a master of this. I don't like the man. I don't really know the man. I'll say this, I don't like his policies. I don't like what he stands for, but you got to give the man credit. He is the master of manipulating the media, and they fall for it anytime. Look at your media for the last 5 or 6 days. All they've been talking about is Venezuela, 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 Venezuela. And like Suleiman said, we went in there and kidnapped a whole leader, the leader of a country, be he not legitimate or not. Who gives us the right to go in there and take the person out of there? And one military veteran said that used to be a hostage over in Venezuela. He was a hostage for some time. I don't know his name right now, but he was on CNN, I believe. And his thought was, if we went in there, went into a fortified compound and took the president and his wife out of there, why couldn't we have got the hostages that we got there? And for those of you who don't know, there are about 5 American hostages that Venezuelans took, and they're still there. We went and got the president and his wife, but we left our hostages there.
Yep.
This is something really tricky about this thing that's going on, but we're not going to spend too much time talking about it because there's other things we want to talk about. It's real tricky that this happened, but they just took the head of the snake and left the whole snake there. And they're still wiggling over there, taking care of business and everything. So what they're leaving out and what's happening with the media so intensely concentrating on Venezuela, how we still in their embargo, have an oil embargo and whatnot, is the economy. Inflation, wages, cost of living issues continue to hit working families, especially Black men, but foreign operations dominate headlines every day. Healthcare. You remember that thing that closed down the government? Well, it's on the back burner now.
Mhm.
But believe it or not, your healthcare subsidies are gone, and healthcare prices for Americans have doubled and tripled in some cases. Hospitals has closed, insurance instability, racial health disparities get buried under national security coverages. The Epstein file, remember that?
Mhm.
The Epstein file? You ain't heard too much about that lately. The release of documents naming high profile individuals was overshadowed by the Venezuelan operation. So, like I said, you can love him or hate him. He normally knows how to lead the American press around by the nose and make them focus on the thing he wants to focus on and not the things that we as American people for. I don't know about you, but my grocery prices are still rising.
Mhm.
I can't say too much about healthcare because I'm at that age. I got Medicare, and I also have TRICARE insurance because I'm a retired military person. I know there's other people suffering in this country, and they're going unheard now because Venezuela is the talk of the town. Venezuela don't really help us uh, at all. My take on this is, once again, the Joker has gotten away with distracting the press on what's important. And just understand that there's another possible shutdown looming at the end of this month. Go ahead,
Yep.
sir.
No, I mean, I think you hit all the points on the head. I mean, I've said since I watched it on the news that this was a distraction, to get the American public not to look at what's really going on in their towns, in their cities, in their states, and the mass transfer of public money to private companies or private corporations. And that's exactly what's going on. There was no reason for us to go on to Venezuela. You have no proof whatsoever that the Venezuelan president was doing what he's being accused of. And even if you did, there is an international body that has been the standard bearer for countries to settle disputes without wars in the United Nations.
Mhm.
That was created specifically so that you could take complaints and concerns to the world body to have it discussed and negotiated and potentially convict foreign leaders. But instead, we go into a country like Venezuela that has no real defense against United States military power. And you go in and you snatch a sovereign country's president. And as you said, the administration there is still there. The vice president has already come out and said they're not changing anything. They're not changing the way they do business. The oil deal is not going to be changed. She already came out and said that. So, what was the purpose of sending our troops into danger to do this? To parade them around New York City into the courtrooms, the federal courtrooms, to say what we've captured a president and his wife. I mean, what
Famous
does his
perp
wife have
walk.
to do with it? I mean, his wife is his wife. Why was she captured like a criminal, handcuffed, put a mask on her face so she can't? I mean, really? But yeah, we turn around and we're complaining to Putin about what he did to Ukraine. I mean, what foundation do we have to stand on now with the Russians?
We really don't, and there's rumbling. Like I say, we don't argue what's right and wrong up here. We tell you our opinion, and we tell you what's being reported in the news and what we're hearing around. So it's being reported also that how chummy Putin and Donald are.
Uh-huh.
It's been reported that Putin has said, "You can do whatever you want to in Venezuela. Just leave us alone over in Ukraine."
Yeah.
So these guys are probably having a cigar and a drink together and talking about it, talking about this situation and everything. I saw a news feed, and the only reason he really sticking with Ukraine is because I saw a news feed, I'm sorry. I saw a news feed that said that he's being put up for the 2026 Nobel Peace Prize for the work he's done in Ukraine. If Ukraine don't get a peace deal, he can't get the peace prize. And that peace prize, because Barack Obama got one, is one of the most important things that he got going on right now that he wants to have. Want to have. It's like another chip in his little basket or something. You're right. We don't have a leg to stand on. When China decides they want to take Taiwan, what do we do? What do we do? What do we say? You can't go into a sovereign country and take out a, and then when they say what you did, then they gonna say, well, that's different because he was not duly elected. Oh, it's kind of like when Trump wouldn't leave the White House when he got got voted out.
Right. It's
He
all
found
projection.
he finally left, and our brethren, the Republican Party, say, well, give him time. He hasn't came to grip with losing. Man, please, presidents have come and gone, and nobody stayed in the White House past their welcome except for him, you know? So, yeah, these things are all distractions. They really are. They really are because while you got jets flying over Venezuela, costing millions of dollars, I want everybody to know, I want American people to know that it's not cheap keeping a whole flotilla over in the Caribbean Sea with one of the most um, powerful aircraft carrier and the 18 to 20 ships it costs to keep that aircraft carrier over there. Now,
18.
yeah,
18
18
ships
ships.
during the
Yeah,
battle.
I forgot. I'm sorry. I got an expert here. And so, for those of you that might be new to our program, Suleiman is a retired Navy. Well, he's a retired he's a Navy guy. So,
Separated from the
yeah,
net.
separated Navy guy. So he knows a little bit about how much it costs to keep that flotilla over there and how much it costs to fly those jets over there. From what we were told, news report says once again, F-23s, F-22s, drones, all of these things were all these platforms, military platforms were used in taking this one man and his wife. It costs money for an operation like that. You have no idea how much it costs to fly a F-23 and an F-22 and keep it in the air for any period of time. So all the money that he's saying that we're saving in America, we're spending it right away with this war. And now they say, hey, we're going to get the oil and then that's going to be our payback. And a matter of fact, I want to bring this point up. Now I want you to talk about this point is how is it that an American president sees fit to let brief all executives about a military exercise, not exercise, a military
Operation.
operation without talking to Congress
Yeah.
first? So talk to me about that. We understand that,
Well, I
I
think it's
think.
just a denigration of checks and balances in our country. Military in our operations should be based on national defense of our country and not some president or administration's personal vendettas or as if they're some toy that you can just push a button and they go and do all of your dirty work. The fact that our corporations would even go to a meeting like that tells you about how far down our corporations have fallen as far as what our country is. I've also heard through the news that a lot of those oil companies don't want to go there. One is the vice
Eh,
president has already said
mm,
things are going to stay the same. And then the
exactly.
second thing is they're like, why do we want to put our people, our resources, our tools into a country that is going to be unstable? I mean, we've already seen this in, the war that I was in the Iraq war. That was the plan there. Let's go and get all the oil. Let's stay over there and bring Exxon and all these oil companies in to get the oil over there, but it's unstable. I mean, what do you think is gonna happen in Venezuela when people start coming in and stealing their resources? They're gonna start blowing up the oil fields, setting them on fire, doing things to sabotage these companies' ability to get things done. And that's what companies are saying. They're like, we don't want to go in there, get our people killed, and get our resources burned because this was taken, as opposed to negotiating with the country that has the resource.
Exactly.
So, it's simple stuff. I mean, we've seen this on like over the last 500 years. I mean, they did it to Africa. They did it to Asia. Went in and wanted to steal all the resources, all the diamonds in Africa and things, the minerals and stuff like that from Africa. They did the exact same thing. And now they're doing, and they did it in Asia. They did it in the Southeast Asia, and now we're going to do it in South America. It's
Yeah.
not going to work.
Yep. Yeah, you're exactly right. And while we're doing this, once again, healthcare problem has not been resolved. The subsidies haven't been extended. If you remember properly, the Republicans begged the Democrats to open the government and swore that they would have a vote on the subsidies by December the 15th. And December 15th has gone and passed, and there was not a vote on the subsidies.
Well, from
So
my understanding, King Jeffries negotiated, and apparently they're going to have a vote. I want to say the 8th. I don't know why January 8th keeps coming to me, but from my understanding, they're supposed to vote on the subsidies.
that's the day.
Right,
January
that's
8th
today.
is
So
day.
maybe I was wrong. Maybe it's not the 8th, but I did hear that. But I mean, in addition to that, look at with our what's the Kennedy? What position is he in the cabinet?
Oh, the Department of Health,
Is it Health and Human Services?
Secretary of Health and Human Services. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. He just changed the policy on shots for kids. So he didn't completely wipe it out, I mean, because I think there were like 17 that they had to take throughout the
Yeah,
first few years.
17 is down to 12 now, I
It's
believe.
down to 12, right? Because
Yeah.
you can get them all, but
Mhm.
you're only required to do 12. And see,
Yeah.
here's my thing. You can do that if you want, but my opinion is people should be able to sue him and sue the parents.
Yeah.
Because what happens if your kid doesn't take a vaccination and you send them to school and then some other kid catches that whatever disease that vaccination was there to support, I mean to kill, and that child dies.
Yep.
Why should Kennedy or the Trump administration or even the parents be immune from being sued? Because my child is dead because you determined that you didn't want your child to take that vaccination. That's your right, but you don't have a right to go and kill people.
That's why the federal government is in place so that you don't have these type of conversations and conflict. When the federal government says makes it a requirement or you don't go to school, it happens. It happens. And you would think that people would love thy neighbor enough to say, okay, I don't want anybody to get sick from this disease. So we're gonna do what we think is proper and take the shot. But that's where we are with this administration. You're always fighting for a narrative in this administration. And once again, I will give him credit for that because he's excellent at it. And healthcare is just one of the many problems. We still haven't seen Epstein files when they put out a document where 10 out of the 15 pages are totally redacted. Come on. You can't make no kind of sense of it. And that's what they want. They don't want you to be able to make no sense of it. I predict that most of the Epstein documents will be gone. I hope that somebody preserved those documents before they handed them over to the Justice Department, and I'm quite sure they did, because this is how things work in America. Because they know the Justice Department that is in place right now is gonna do everything they can to get rid of those documents and stuff, or have it so no one will be able to understand it. But I'm quite sure there's some clerk somewhere in America that had their hands on those documents and made a copy of it.
I hope.
Be it legal or not, they did it.
I hope.
So, you best believe it.
But the
What's done in the dark will come into light. Go ahead,
Ooh.
Suleiman.
No, I was going to say to go back to the Venezuela thing. What I
Mhm.
wanted to finish up by saying is, Americans need to understand. First, they need to read and they need to understand how politics around the world works and how wars start and how, people who were once friends or people who were semi-friends can become enemies because of something as careless and reckless as what we did with Venezuela. Just follow your history and understand why War I started, and the treaties that came along with nations. I mean, we do have treaties. And a lot of those treaties say if one country is attacked or another country is attacked, or if they're attacked by this particular country, that we and other countries should come to their defense. So we are not it's not that some country that is associated with Venezuela, whether it's putting money into the country or taking money out of the country, some type of agreement for their oil or whatever minerals they have in that country or something like that, to be feel a certain type of way because the United States went in and took their president. So it's not just, oh, it's in South America, we don't have to worry about it. Or we don't have to worry about the Russians because they're way over across the pond. No, we've experienced this. We experienced how Japan, who's way across the Pacific, can hit us, can come and try to hit us because they don't like something that we did. Anything can happen, which is why you don't make decisions like this without playing chess, looking 2, 3, 4 moves down the line and say, what is this going to cause across the country? And also not just for us now, within the next year. What's going to happen 2 or 3 years down the line when, because of what we've done, another country might have said, you know what? These guys aren't the friends that we thought they were. Let's go and make a friend with someone else. I mean, you see it in Africa right now. A lot of African countries are like, you know what? We're going to go and make deals with China. We're going to go and make deals with Russia, and we're not going to make deals with the United States anymore because
Yeah,
we can't be
yeah,
trusted.
exactly. Exactly. That's all it does. I mean, not even Russia. China is the to me is the biggest threat. China is the biggest threat because China can say, you see all that stuff Russia is doing and the United States is doing, they make big moves. Russia silently do their things. They're real quiet. They're real. I think he killed people nicely, because
He
he
just
just
throws he
yeah.
just throws them out of a 5-story building, and then nobody hears anything about it.
Exactly, but he ain't going on TV and bragging about it like Putin and Trump does, because he don't want his name out there. But I think they're the biggest threat. I think we've lost all the credibility in the world right now, and nobody's gonna trust this country. And you can think that we're so big we can go it alone all you want to. I don't think so. The last I have to say on this is Denmark going against a NATO country, Denmark, to take one of their territories is just downright stupid. It's just like it's just like me going to your house and say, I'm gonna take your living room, okay? You can live everywhere else, but I'm gonna take your living room. That's crazy, you know? I guarantee that I wouldn't be able to last in there 2 or 3 hours before you have me out of there.
Right.
But see, he's a bully because he knows that Denmark cannot fight us.
Huh?
But this is what happened when you have a bully in town and got the biggest army and the biggest guns and stuff. This is what happens and
But
everything.
but that's the only thing that right now is keeping the United States where we are. And people
Mhm.
need to understand that. I mean, the fact that we have the most powerful military in the world is the reason that we are in the position that we're in. And people also need to understand and follow history. There were a lot of empires and kingdoms that are doing the same thing, that did the same thing that we're doing, and they're no longer there. So people need to understand what us acting the way that we're acting around to the world could potentially bring.
Yeah. So I think that I hope that y'all got the message. So we're talking about Venezuela, and you can see we talk a lot about Venezuela, but the country is not talking about the economy, and and the Epstein files, things that were very important to us before Venezuela and everything. It's just a shame that we get caught up in the sauce, so to speak. And we're gonna take a little bit more time tonight for our on another note segment because we got some things that we want to talk about tonight. I'll go first so I'll get mine out of the way. And mine will be real quick, and that'll give you time to get your point across on what you want to talk about.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so on another note, y'all, um, I just want to talk about what happened in Minnesota and how crazy this is and the sign of the times and how we live. And I'm gonna go point by point, and I want you as our viewers and listeners to look at these things yourself and determine what you think. This is what I saw when I saw the video, and this is what I think about the upcoming investigation. First and foremost, in the video, what I saw was a lady blocking traffic, possibly blocking these ICE agents and stuff. I don't know. I don't know why she was like that, but she was definitely blocking the road. Then what I saw was two ICE agents getting out of their car or truck and walking towards the woman in a hostile way. Matter of fact, cursing, "Get the fuck out of the car. Get the fuck out of the car." And okay, so he's approaching. And while they're approaching from that side, there was another ICE agent that approached from the opposite side and got in front of the car. So while they were trying to get her out of the car, which once again a no-no that I know of. I'm not a professional law enforcement, but I saw him grab the door and try to open the door, and then he did even worse by reaching inside the car and trying to open the door. And then I saw the lady put the car in reverse. And when I saw that, if you look closely, you can see the ICE officer that was in front of the car start to move to his right and pull his gun out of his holster as she's backing back. He's
Mhm.
already drawn his weapon as she's backing back. And then she comes forward looking to me like she's turning right to try to duck the officer.
Mhm.
And then he shoots directly into the car with his partner still at the door. He could have easily shot his partner or the ICE officer that was behind the car. Or no, there was a bystander that was behind the car. And then I saw him do something that I just couldn't believe because then he followed the car. Now, this is an officer that had to be taken to the hospital and looked at, and Donald Trump said that it's amazing he's still alive. I was like, oh my God. So you're telling me what I saw is not true. So then the other part of it was when somebody got there, a professional medical personnel identified himself and said, let me help this person. The ICE officers told them no, and something to the effect, if you don't get back, I'm going to shoot you. That's something to the effect. I don't know that for sure, but that's what's being reported. Now, one video that showed this guy that showed this guy talking and saying he is a medical professional and let him render help to it. Because the young lady was not dead then. She died en route or to the hospital, at the hospital. That's where she actually died. And so I say all that to say this. Now you got Christy Nome, you got the president, you got the vice president, you got the press secretary already indicted the woman, already called her a radical supporter and all this other stuff. If I were her family, I would sue for defamation because they
Mhm.
didn't know who she was. But
Right.
they already calling her a radical left wingist and stuff. So this has already been said. And then when they say this would be a total and thorough investigation, guess who's investigating? The FBI, who is part of the Homeland Security, who falls under Christy Nome, and Christy Nome, who falls under the vice president and the president. So how can you have a clear investigation when when people at the leadership has already said that this police officer is clear? And then to top it all off, and this to finish it up, is you tell the state, which it happened in, that y'all can't join this investigation. We're doing it ourselves.
Yep.
So that's on another note for me. That's what I saw. That's what I think. Please look at it for yourself and try to have an open mind when you think about this.
Yeah, man, that's interesting, man. I haven't
Yeah.
seen the video.
Mhm.
I just, read some stuff about it, but I mean, I'm not surprised for them to come out and, and basically indict this woman. No person should be murdered by law enforcement in this country if they're not doing anything. Disruption of what we do in this country as far as how people move down the street or protesting, that's a right in this country. We have the right to do that. you don't have the right to kill somebody because they disagree. She wasn't trying to run the person over, from at least what I've read. He wasn't firing a gun at the person, anything like that. For them to fire into that vehicle tells me, one, you got people who are untrained in ICE, and that don't surprise me because they brought all these new officers on. Most of them are probably not qualified to do what it is that they're doing.
This guy's not new. That's the crazy thing about it. He's been in there for 10 years.
Yeah, exactly. So he knows better. But if you know that you can get away with it and
Mhm.
that you're going to get full throated support 24 hours after it happens before there's any type of investigation done, then that's a different story.
Yeah.
So yeah, thanks for bringing that up. I mean, I think
Okay.
that that's something our listeners should pay attention to.
Gotcha. Okay. Now
My
on
thing
another
on
note.
another note is, you guys know that, we obviously ask and recommend that we get comments from people. And we both are very supportive of that, and we try to go in when the comments are reasonable and kind of a dialogue with people to talk to them about what we were thinking and why we said what we said. But there was one incident that happened. It was something I said I think it was last week or the week before. It might have been the week before. No, it was last time. We were talking about Charlie Kirk, and we were talking about Charlie Kirk, his comments about black people. I think I said something about, he said we were stupid, or that if you got on a plane, he saw a black pilot, he wondered if they were qualified, and a couple other things that he said throughout the last year, and in his whole career as a podcaster. And we know who he was. So we commented on it. And I had somebody come on, and the first thing was, oh, that's not what he said. You're misrepresenting what Charlie Kirk said. No, we weren't. We pulled it right from public record of the things that he said. But he also came back and he was saying, well, it's because, there are some people out there, black people out there that, that are unqualified, to be in the positions. And I responded back to him. I said, hey, show your work. Show me a time where either you were in a position that you didn't get because some other unqualified black person got it, or give me an example anywhere of where somebody did not get a job because they were more qualified than the black person to get a job. And the reason that I did that is because I get so tired of hearing these people talk about somebody getting a job because they're unqualified. And they don't know them. They don't know how qualified they are. They don't know how their interview went. They don't know anything. They're just talking points. So I pushed back on them to show your work. And then the person came back and they're like, oh, well, it's because, they're not the best qualified. So of course I go back and I say, okay, first of all, nobody gets hired because they're best qualified. People get hired because they have the best qualifications. And qualifications can be documented. So I know in the county I work, we have what's called minimum qualifications and preferred qualifications, right?
Mhm.
So I told him, I said, so no one gets hired for best qualifications. And I said, and anyone that thinks that of best qualified, that's the reason that we need D, because that's subjective. When you say somebody's best qualified, that's subjective. There's no points that I can say he's better here, 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 and here. You're just saying my thought process is that this candidate is better than the other. That's why diversity, equity, and inclusion is needed in the professional hiring practices. Then after I say that, then the person comes back and says, oh, well, that's why Yale University had to be, fined because of their, practices with allowing black people to get into universities and not being qualified. And I was like, really? I mean, come on. You're a person who's commenting on a YouTube channel. What do you know about Yale, Harvard, or any of our other Ivy League schools? And did you apply for an Ivy League position? I mean, to get into the school and not get it? No, couldn't do it. No points, just white supremacist talking points. And by the way, the most recent report about who's getting into these so-called schools that got with DEI, black folks are still getting in at the same rate.
Mhm.
There's other people who have been getting in at a higher rate because of the DEI practices. Black folks are at the same rate. So we're not even benefiting from something that was meant to benefit our people,
Exactly. Exactly.
right? So I talked to him about that. And then, of course, here comes the snowflake stuff and about, oh, well, I don't like you patronizing me and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, when you don't have a problem putting it out, but you have a problem accepting it when someone else comes back comes back at you. So I wanted to put that out there because I think it's important to people to understand the type of folks that you have. A lot of disingenuous people out in the world who just listen to talking points and then try to push their concern or their anger onto somebody else with no facts. And what I kept saying to this individual was, stop complaining, do better. The reason you didn't get that job has nothing to do with the fact that the person was black. It has to do with the fact that you were unprepared, that you weren't the best qualified candidate, and that the organization that you were applying for decided to move to something else. Deal with it. We deal with it every single day in this country when you go to interviews. There's no guarantee that you're going to get the job. You have to be the best person. So I kept saying that to this individual to let them know that we're about facts here. We're willing to have conversations with anybody about anything that we talk about, but we're not going to deal with talking points. We're not going to deal with people who are in fantasy world about what we've seen. Like people coming on and saying, "Oh, well, the whole January 6th event was a psych op." Really? Come on, I live here. I know what I
Yeah,
saw on TV.
yeah, exactly.
Right. So, I mean, to close it out, I want to say, and this is really a
Good, good. Yeah, I mean, all good points. Thank you for addressing that. We will, I want it to be known, we will answer all remarks that y'all have that we can, but we're not gonna give any energy to negative energy people and talking point people. We can agree to disagree cordially. We can be sharp with our words and everything without cursing and without calling people names. This is not what we're doing this for. I think our last episode told you why we're doing this podcast. So all I can say is I want y'all to stay with us, keep telling us what you think, keep giving us ideas, and we looking for a great year this year. Anything last words before we go?
yeah, no, just mean to follow up on that is yeah, we will answer some of the comments, but the majority of them we're not going to get into arguments with some keyboard warrior.
Yeah, exactly.
But give us suggestions, talk to us about recommendations and things that you think we can do better. We're willing to do that. But that's it.
Okay. I'm gonna try to put out a questionnaire, see how many people want us to go live. If we can get at least 10 to 20 people, we'll go live one day, one week. So
Nice.
let's look at that. So thanks a lot. As always, peace, love, and happiness. Okay.
All right, brother. Thanks, man. Everybody take care.
Okay.